Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at the Shadow Magnezone now with a Volt Switch. This team worked out super well for me again. Of course, we're going to be currently in like the early stages of Go Battle League where people don't know what they are running right now, and there are also some people that might not be in my elo range usually. But still, this team worked out super well again, and we're going to take a look today on how strong the Volt Switch variant of Magnezone going to be, and I can tell you already, I just love this Pokemon. Like, Magnezone was already one of my favorite Pokemon. I hit rank 1 in the world with this Pokemon before I started doing YouTube, which now kinda limits me of getting anywhere high on the leaderboards, because otherwise I don't really going to be able to do content. But, yeah, we're going to see here right now a team with Magnezone of the coolest Pokemon for me as well. And also, if you want to have a replacement for Cresselia and you think, oh no, I don't have a Cresselia, which a lot of people I don't think have, you can actually trade one if you just have one from a raid with like a friend level that's kind of low. You're still going to be able to get the Giratina, the Cresselia of course, for 1500 CP. Not guaranteed of course, but there's a decent chance I think that you're going to be able to get one just from trading one that someone else got from a raid. But if you want to replace this Pokemon, there are several options. You can go for Mantine, you can go for Pelipper, you can go for even the Sableye. Because the cool thing about our lead right now is that it's part Steel type and also going to have a Steel type move, which against Fairy type Pokemon, like the opponent's Alolan Ninetales, going to be very nice. It's going to be double super effective in this case, usually just normal super effective, and going to do a decent amount of damage. So basically, you can even use something like a Sableye as a closer for this team, especially as if the opponent still somehow going to run something like the what's called a Noctowl, it's still going to be fine. This team going to have a core breaker, which is going to be the Trevenant, which you're going to see here right now. This would, for example, not be the case again if you would use something like the Mantine, like the Pelipper, or like the Sableye in the bag. They all would be a little bit better off against it compared to the Cresselia, but I wanted to have a little bit of bulk at least, because you're going to have a very squishy lead where you kind of want to use your shields for. You're going to have a Saisop that's Shadow with Gligar, and then I didn't really want to have something like a Sableye, which is okay in terms of bulk. Mantine maybe would have been also fine in the back there to have like another Pokemon that got buffed in the team. It would be a triple buff team then, but yeah, for me right now, I feel like Cresselia is such a strong Pokemon in the current meta. It's definitely a very decent Pokemon to use. As you're going to see that the opponent going to swap out here for whatever reason, allowing us to go for another charge move against them. This is going to get the shield. We're going to be able to shield up the opponent's potential Shadow Ball. It's just going to be the Seed Bomb though, and we will be able to get the knockout against them, as well as we can now go for some Grass Nuts against the opponent's Azumarill. Azumarill going to be also very strong in the meta. Most likely going to make a video about this Pokemon eventually as well, but of course, now we're going to mainly take a look at the new Pokemon, which are going to come out as well in like 3 days, which is going to be interesting for the Paldea region, as well as the move update. So might take some time, maybe when Great League comes back, because I'm fairly certain we only have Great League for 1 week in the beginning, which is kind of sad because we usually have like every normal league at least for 2 weeks, but I'm fairly certain they changed this season. And yeah, we're going to have next week the Ultra League, then 1 week Master League, and I think it just swaps around it with just always only a 1 week period of each league, which is interesting. I don't know if it's going to be better or worse, but also we're going to have then, for example, Psychic Cup for 2 weeks, the Sunshine Cup for 2 weeks. So basically they swapped it around and made the limited metas for 2 weeks and the normal metas for 1 week. Don't know if it's better or worse. Let me know in the comment section if you like this new schedule a little bit more, or do you like it a little bit less? I feel like they just did it so they don't have to think about too many cups. Like, this is going to allow them to basically use half of the amount of cups than before, basically. So that's going to be interesting. So you always kind of want to play or like be decent in either the Ultra League as well as the Great League there, because it's going to be a lot of times available this season. So definitely going to be interesting though that we don't have periods of like 2 weeks for like Great League or something like this. We have like one time, I think 2 weeks of Great League, because there were like 2 periods where all leagues are available, but still interesting though. But yeah, we're going to have, you know, the Cresselia going for the Grass Knot against the Mantine. Great play by the opponent. I'm going to try to overfarm by a little bit, so I can now try to go for the full farmland against them, and I have a move down onto my Cresselia. I'm going to let this move go through because Ice Beam is the worst thing that can hit me, and now Magnezone going to be able to go for 2 wild charges against the opponent's Diggersby. This is not really ideal, I would say. Does it knock them out? It just barely doesn't knock them out. One more fast move of Cresselia is though all I need to knock them out here right now. They're gonna go for some Scorching Sands as well here, whereas we can now move on into the next game. completely hard-walled. Like, Galarian Stunfisk is of course the worst possible Pokemon to face. We're going to have now our Gligar here at least, and they don't swap out immediately, even though they're going to have a hard answer for our Gligar in the back with the Azurill, so I don't know why they didn't swap out immediately. But yeah, this is not looking too good for us right now. We're gonna get kinda hard-walled the entire way through right now, so that's a little bit awkward. This team is not really designed to deal with Galarian Stunfisk, I guess, so I didn't expect that this Pokemon would be as common, or like it was, I think, the only time where I actually faced Galarian Stunfisk. You're actually going to be able to win, I think, now the one-sheet scenario with your Cresselia against Galarian Stunfisk, so it's not even going to be too bad there, but of course they're also running Hydro Pump, which makes it even worse for me, and now I have to hope that the Cresselia is going to be able to win the entire game, and they're going to have a Pelipper in the back, and there is not a lot that I can do about it. Like, there is literally not a lot that I can do about this team here right now. It is kinda a hard wall for me the entire way through. Cresselia versus Pelipper is kinda neutral, like both kinda do neutral damage against each other. Cresselia is a little bit bulkier, therefore the Pelipper has Step and a better fast move. So at the end of the day, you're going to get out of this matchup with usually a little bit of lower health there. You see me trying to swap out onto a move or like trying to farm them down with a Volt Switch. But just not going to happen here right now. Again, try to do it, but no. Like, there's no reason for me to play this one on. Was just hard-walled from the get-go. Stuff like this happens. Horrible lead for us again. You're going to be able to swap out into our good friend Gligar, as we're going to see a Greninja coming in. This is an interesting one here. They were actually very slow in the swap out, which is going to be very beneficial for us right now, because I'm going to be able to use a shield against the opponent and also can go for one aerial ace here right now, which will be able to connect against the opponent's Greninja and allowing us to use another shield in order to realign our Pokemon. So like this, you're going to be able to get the opponent's Deoxys defense onto our Cresselia, but they're going to have another very rarely seen Pokemon that is going to be tough for me to deal with in the back here with the Kofag Regas. And also, if I went for Dig, I'm fairly certain I would have had a way better play here right now, because I would have done way more damage against them, and I would have most likely put them into farm down range here. So I'm still forced to go for a Mirror Shot, which is going to get the shield and the attack drop. Can we survive a move from the Kofag Regas from this range? We cannot. But luckily, the opponent going to decide to swap out, but the opponent's Deoxys stayed in for a long time before, and they are going to have a ton of energy right now. And unless we're going to be lucky and get like an attack drop from our Cresselia's Moonblast here, which we don't, yeah, there's not a lot that I can do here right now, because I'm kind of forced to go for a full farm down after the next Moonblast. It's a little bit tricky. I'm going to be able to go for another one. Maybe I'm going to get another, like in general, a drop onto the attack, but sadly I don't. And like this, we're sadly in range now, where one Thunderbolt is going to be all it takes to knock me out, and they're going to be able to take this game home. Again, fairly bad lead for us, was not really able to come back from it. So, 3-4-3, a horrible lead for us, so we're going to swap out here immediately into our Gligar. In comes now the opponent's Mantine. And you're going to see something weird here. And I'm going to see something weird here, because the opponent gonna go for the move fairly fast, and it was just the Bubble Beam. I guess, did not realize that this the meta updated a little bit, or are they running Bubble Beam plus Aerial Ace? I don't know, because Ice Beam would be double super effective, man. Like, this would be such a bad matchup for the Gligar, so I don't really know what they're trying to do here right now. But we're going to now be able to go for an Aerial Ace and gonna get them low. And of course, as we lost the lead here, I happily take the option to realign my Pokemon, which I'm going to take here. And like this, we're going to be actually able to align our Magnezone against the opponent's Gligar, which is not really looking too good here either, right? But we can still at least go for the Mirror Shot, and our Volt Switch damage basically adds up still. It's only single resisted. Now we'll go for a shield against the Dig, as the opponent going to now have to take this incoming Mirror Shot. Let's see what this is going to do here. It's going to get them fairly low. I can go for another one. This should be able to get the shield from the opponent, and like this, I'm not even the worst spot. Sadly, of course, I never got any debuff at all from the Mirror Shot, but we see the Dig coming through, so they were using a ton of energy here right now, and I should be able to farm down the opponent's Gligar as they're now out of energy. But in comes now the Hitmon on top. I will be able to go for the Moonblast, and one Moonblast is not enough to knock them out from this range, but it should put them into farm down range. And let's see if they're going to shield. They did not. They thought I would go for the bait. Never bait in this scenario. It was way better for us to just not bait, and like this, we're going to be able to just farm them down, at least I thought, but they can still go for a Dig, and this is going to not knock us out by a 1 HP. So, IV's meta definitely here. Next opponent, great lead for us, finally a decent lead for us, and of course in comes immediately a Diggersby. Interesting enough, Diggersby has Mudshot here right now, and the most common moveset right now changed a little bit, which I didn't really expect that this would be the case. But Scorching Sands is usually now on it, but also Hyper Beam is on it over the Fire Punch, which I didn't really expect to see on this Pokemon, but I guess you're gonna go for the double step, double nuke-ish moveset right now, which is interesting, and we see here the Hyper Beam coming through. I didn't actually expect that they would have it after they went for the Scorching Sands first, but like this, I'm going to be able to realign still, which is going to be very beneficial for us, as I don't want to have the Golisopod against our, Pokemon in the back there, our good friend, the Cresselia. So I'm going to use a shield here against the opponent. Let's see what they're going to come into. They're going to have a Gligar in the back again, and this is going to be a little bit of a tough one, as I'm going to be forced to go for the Mirror Shot, and I'm going to get the shield here right now. I can go for another Mirror Shot right now, and this is going to hopefully get the drop against the attack, and it does finally get the attack drop. And like this, I can go for another one, which is going to get no drop at all, but at least we're going to have one attack drop against them. What this basically does for us, it's going to put the opponent into range now where I can just go ahead and farm them all the way down, basically, not all the way, but like going to try to get some extra energy, especially for the Golisopod coming in. But what the opponent going to do right now is they're going to shield this move up, as they have a lot of energy on the Golisopod already. I'm not going to use a shield here because I was fearing that they have two moves already, so I rather take the energy advantage here with my Magnezone. And yes, they have a ground type in the back, but it's a ground flying type Pokemon, and Pokemon Go is not like the main series game where actually electric type moves is going to be enough to knock out a ground type Pokemon. So goodbye there, Gligar, as you can move on into the next game. We're going to see here right now the opponent going to have an Ariados in the lead. Usually a great matchup for us. They're running Lunge, they're running usually Cross Poison on this Pokemon, and they're going to go for a charge move here. Let's see what it is. It is Shadow Sneak. That's kinda sneaky, but we can still just go ahead and go for the Wild Charge against the opponent, which is going to get the instant knockout against them, as we see now the Poliwrath coming in first, and now they're stopped immediately into the Jellicent, which is like, it's actually really, really decent for us right now in this scenario, because we can let one Surf go through. We know that they have the Poliwrath in the back, so our Cresselia is going to be able to sweep endgame for sure, but what we can do is just going to get rid of our Gligar, but the opponent actually does not want to use a shield anyway, so we're in a great spot right now. I can go ahead, go into my Magnezone, try to get a debuff here real cheap with our bait move Mirror Shot. I could have also went for the Wild Charge, of course, but it does not matter at all, as the opponent going to still have their Poliwrath against our Cresselia, as we can go for a Moonblast. This is going to do a ton of damage. If they were Shadow, it would have been a knockout, but like this, they're going to go ahead and go for the Ice Punch, which does no damage at all, and they completely surrender here right now with not even like clicking the surrender button. I don't know if they had some quests or something like this, but this was game over. Great lead for us. In comes the Cresselia, and this, our Cresselia also comes in here, but now of course the opponent's Medicham comes in. This is the main reason why we have Cresselia in the back. It's a great matchup for like against the Medicham, but something, for example, like the Mantine, which I feel like is the best possible answer instead of the Cresselia here for this team, would be also very interesting, as you now have Aerial Ace on this Pokemon as well, so you're going to have a better option also against other Cresselias, against other Medichams there as well, which is going to be nice. So like if you don't have a Cresselia still, I'm fairly certain that Mantine is the best option now for this one. You can of course still also go for Pelipper, but I feel like Mantine actually going to be one of the more significant Pokemon as well for the upcoming meta game, because it's going to be a great answer for a Medicham for like tournaments, as well as it's going to be able to destroy the Gligar, which is going to be very common. Still, I'm fairly certain that we're going to see a Lantern quite often as well now. And so Bubble Beam is also kind of nice still on this Pokemon. I'm not sure really if we're going to see too many Mantines still, but it's going to be interesting. Here we're going to see the Toxapex in the back, a Pokemon where we can go ahead and go straight for the Wild Charge, which is going to get both of the opponent's shields. I could swap out here, go for the Dig, survive a Brine easily with our Pokemon in the back, but this is a showcase here today for Magnezone, right? So of course we're going to stay in here, go for the Wild Charge, and we should be able to still reach a Mirror Shot in time, which is all it takes to knock out the opponent's Clefable. And like this, we're going to be able to win the second to last game for today's video, as we can now move on into the final game, where we're going to encounter an Alolan Sandslash in the lead. And I'm fairly certain we can actually just go for Mirror Shot straight away and win the matchup in the 2-shield scenario, because the Volt Switch damage is just adding up so much. It's like the benefit of having Volt Switch. Yes, it's a little bit clunky compared to Spark, but just the insane amount of damage that you can do now with this Pokemon is just super good to see. And we're gonna go ahead and go actually for Wild Charge. I actually wanted to go for the bait first there, as you saw. Like, I decided later on that I really would like to go for the Mirror Shot, and I'm fairly certain this is Mirror Shot range as well. But now, after already getting the shield, I'm just gonna go for the safe play and go for 2 of my Wild Charges. If we're going to see the Medicham coming in against us, we can go for the Aerial Ace, which is going to be super effective against the opponent and going to do some, yeah, solid damage there. We're going to have to most likely take an Ice Punch here, which is putting us into the red health, and now we're going to have the Mandibuzz in the back. And this is looking interesting. It's not over yet, but it's also not really that nice, as they're going to be able to farm us all the way down. We're going to get them into around like 40% health range here. This is easily a knockout range for the Moonblast, and they're going to go straight for a charge move here, which I found interesting, which is going to be the Aerial Ace. And now I just tried to catch a move, but they actually didn't go for a perfect move timing, so I was a little bit late there trying to swap out. And now they just got to the move a little bit faster than I thought. I thought that they would need another fast move first, but they didn't. And like this, I will be able to go for another charge move myself, but I just don't have the health anymore on my Pokemon. And if I just caught a move or something, I would have been fine here. So this was my own fault, to be fair, to lose this last game there, but it's going to be totally okay. This team worked out super well. Magnezone was a lot of fun to play. I hope you enjoyed this one. Check out the videos on the screen right now if you haven't already, and I see you then. Bye bye.